You're not crazy. You're not too sensitive. You're not the problem. What you survived was real, and it has a name. Welcome to Fuck You Narcissist, the podcast where we speak the truth that nobody told you, backed by science, rooted in story, and driven by one mission: to heal the people this epidemic has quietly been destroying. I'm your host, Tracey Lynch, author, founder, and a woman who lived it, survived it, and refuses to be silent about it. I work to save the lives of women being quietly erased. Every week we go deep, we go raw, we go scientific, because around here we operate on one principle. The whole point is to take the energy you've pointed their way and use it to heal yourself. And to do that, we need to deal with facts, not feelings. Let's get into it. Has someone ever told you something never happened and you believed them over your own memory? Has someone ever made you feel your mind was broken, like you were going to pieces? Like you couldn't trust your own perception of reality? What if I told you that was not confusion? That was a crime committed against your mind. One so sophisticated it has a name, and today we are naming it. Gaslight, 1938, a play, later made into a film in 1944, in which a husband deliberately manipulates his wife's environment, dimming the gaslights in their home and then denying it when she notices. He hides things and denies moving them. He isolates her. He tells her she is going mad. And over time, she begins to believe him. The film won 2 Academy Awards. Audiences were horrified. Critics called it a psychological thriller. Survivors of narcissistic abuse call it a documentary. Gaslighting is now a formally recognized term in clinical psychology and is listed in the American Psychological Association's Dictionary of Psychology as the manipulation of a person into questioning their own perceptions, memory, or sanity. It is not an argument. It is not a disagreement about facts. It is the systematic dismantling of your ability to trust yourself. Let me give you the phrases, because if you recognize these words, and I suspect you will, I want you to feel something lift off your chest right now. That never happened. You're too sensitive. You're remembering it wrong. I never said that. You made that up. You're being crazy. Why do you always do this? Everybody agrees with me. Nobody thinks you're telling the truth. You need help. You're so dramatic. Stop trying to make me look bad. I was joking. You take everything so seriously. And a more recent one I was exposed to is, you need to get your soul saved. 1 or 2 of those, that's a bad day. That's an argument. A pattern of these over time, deployed deliberately to make you doubt your own mind, that is psychological abuse. That is gaslighting. And it is no less violent for leaving no visible bruises. Here is where I need you to lean in, because this is the part of the conversation that takes the shame off your shoulders and puts it back where it belongs, on the behavior that caused the damage. Neurologically, chronic gaslighting causes measurable changes to the brain. Dr. Jennifer Freyd, a professor of psychology at the University of Oregon and founder of the Center for Institutional Courage, has studied what she calls betrayal trauma, the unique psychological damage that occurs when abuse is perpetrated by someone we depend on and love. When someone we trust tells us our reality is wrong, our brain faces a devastating conflict. Do I trust my memory, or do I trust this person I need? For people and for adults who are emotionally dependent, the nervous system often chooses the relationship over the reality, because losing the relationship feels more dangerous than losing your grip on truth. Over time, this rewires neural pathways. The hippocampus, your brain's memory center, becomes dysregulated. You begin to automatically question your own recollections before anyone else does. The gaslighter doesn't even have to be in the room anymore. You've internalized the voice. You do the work for them. This is why survivors of gaslighting often describe a pervasive sense of confusion that outlasts the relationship by years, because the damage is not in your spirit, it is in your synapses, and healing it requires real, deliberate rewiring. I need to introduce you to an acronym that might be one of the most useful tools you ever get from this podcast. DARVO. D stands for deny. A, attack. R, reverse. V, victim. And O, offender. DARVO. DARVO is the pattern identified by Dr. Jennifer Frey to describe what perpetrators of abuse do when confronted. They deny what they did. They attack the person who confronted them. And then they reverse the role. Suddenly, they are the victim and you are the abuser. You've seen it. You know this pattern. You call them out on something real, something documented, something that happened, and within 60 seconds, sometime 30, they were crying or raging or running to tell everyone else that you attacked them, that you were unstable, that you have always been difficult. DARVO is not instinct. It is strategy. And knowing the name of the strategy is the beginning of not falling for it anymore. Gaslighting is not only a personal abuse tactic, it is a political one, a historical one. And knowing this matters because it removes any remaining sense that this only happens to vulnerable or naive people. In the Soviet Union under Stalin, the government employed what was called active measures, a disinformation campaign designed to make citizens doubt their own perception of events. Official accounts of history were rewritten, photographs were altered, people who remembered the truth were called enemies of the state, mentally ill, or dangerous. The Nazi regime systematically gaslit the German public and the international community about the existence and nature of concentration camps. People who reported what they had seen were called liars. In the United States, women seeking medical care in the 19th and early 20th centuries were routinely diagnosed with hysteria, a catch-all term that meant essentially, your perception of your own suffering is incorrect. Countless women were institutionalized, not because they were mentally ill, but because their doctors refused to believe their reported experience. Gaslighting is as old as power, and it is always deployed by people who need you not to trust yourself. The antidote to gaslighting is documentation, evidence, facts. I call it the truth journal. You can call it whatever you want. But starting today, I want you to write things down, not your feelings, your facts. Dates, words that were said, what happened before, what happened after, screenshots, texts, emails, voice memos recorded immediately after an interaction. You are not building a case for court, though sometimes you should be. You are building a case for yourself, a case that says my memory is accurate, my perception is trustworthy, my reality is real. Every time you write it down, you are retraining your brain to trust itself. That is not dramatic. That is neurological repair. If you have ever been told you are crazy, that you are dramatic, you are remembering it wrong, I need you to hear me right now with every cell in my body. You are not crazy. You are being managed. And there is a profound, clinical, peer-reviewed difference between those two things. Next week, episode 4, Facts, Not Feelings, the signature episode of this series, because your feelings matter, but facts are your freedom. If no one has told you today, you matter. You are not what they said you were. Your grief is not weakness. It is evidence of your love. You survived a hurricane with a smile on its face, and you are still here. If this episode hit you in the chest, share it. Someone in your world is drowning and they don't even know it yet. They need this. Give it to them. Subscribe, leave a review, and come find me at TraceyLynch.com because healing is not a solo sport. I'm Tracey Lynch, and this has been Fuck You Narcissist. Facts, not feelings. Until next time.